Hello, this is Pastor Rick, and I want to welcome you to the Sunday Forum for this All Saints Sunday, November the 3rd. We're very excited about this topic, talking to all the saints, possible, healthy, and Christian. I'm glad to have Pastor Karole back with us for this follow-up conversation. Welcome, Pastor Karole.
Thank you. Good to be here.
All right, like we mentioned, we've already had part one, where we discuss this topic of talking with our dead loved ones. Is it possible? Is it healthy? Is it Christian? And we both had conversations, both at Emmanuel in Michigan, Emmanuel here in Southwest Florida. And now we want to give some of the feedback from what we heard. And Pastor Karole, I can't wait to hear what you learned from your people. And I look forward to sharing what I learned with mine. But before we do, we're having this conversation in preparation for All Saints Day. And so I think it'd be lovely to show a brief clip which describes the history and the background and some of the practices tied with All Saints Day. Let's watch now.
All Saints Day is celebrated on November the 1st as a commemoration day for all Christian saints. It may also be known as All Hallows Day, Solemnity of All Saints, Hallowmass, or Feast of Saints. Though not as well known as Christmas and Easter, it is still a major Christian festival. It is a public holiday in 50 countries around the world. Let's take a look at the history behind All Saints Day. The idea of an All Saints Day may date back to a Greek Christian tradition in the 4th century, when a festival was held to honour saints and martyrs on the Sunday following Pentecost. The first recorded All Saints Day occurred on May the 13th, 609 AD, when Pope Boniface IV accepted the Pantheon in Rome as a gift from Emperor Phocas. The Pope dedicated the day as a holiday to honour the Blessed Virgin and all martyrs. In 835 AD, during the reign of Pope Gregory III, the festival was moved to November the 1st. It was expanded to include the honouring of all saints, including those whose sainthood is only known to God. It is likely that November the 1st was intentionally chosen to replace the pagan feast of the dead, Samhain. The night before Samhain was said to be a time when evil spirits roamed the land looking for humans. To confuse the spirits, people would dress up as creatures. This tradition carried on after November the 1st became a Christian festival. It was known as Halloween, which is a shortened version of All Hallows Eve. The day survived the Reformation, though the Protestants combined it with All Souls Day, which is on November the 2nd. In Mexico, All Souls Day was used to replace older Aztec customs and became the Day of the Dead. All Saints Day was abolished as a church festival in 1770, but it is still celebrated by many churches on the first Sunday in November. In Roman Catholicism, All Saints Day is a holy day of obligation. This means Catholics must go to Mass unless there is a good reason not to attend. The holiday is typically observed with the reading of the Beatitudes, 8 blessings given in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, as recounted in the Gospel of Matthew. In recent years, it has become common in many churches to commemorate those who died during the year on this day. And it is a tradition in many countries to visit the graves of deceased relatives and put flowers and candles on the graves.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that brief outline and history of All Saints Day. And so now we want to delve into the conversations that we both had in our respective congregations. And I want to summarize the learnings this way. And Pastor Karole, you can comment on these after we list them out. One question that arose is where is the soul now? If I'm talking to a dead loved one, is it dead in the ground? Is it alive in heaven? Is it immortal? I mean, all those questions. Where is the soul? The second was talking versus praying, which was such an interesting topic. When are we talking? And when might we cross a line and pray? The third as we'll discuss, didn't come up that often, but probably should have. I think people were thinking about it, and that was the role of mediums that still play a role in our society today. And the fourth is sometimes talking is better now than before with our dead loved ones. Okay, it was a beautiful sentiment. So let's begin with the first one, issue one. Where is the soul now? And Pastor Carol, the way I'm going to start this off is by saying this is a universal question. Everybody asks it around the world. Even the Disney movie company asks this question. They've got this wonderful film, Soul. This is not a Christian understanding where the soul is, but it shows the universal characteristic, the universal question. And so we'll watch this 2-minute clip, and then we'll circle around and ask what you learned at Emmanuel.
What is this place?
What's your name, honey?
I'm Joe. I teach middle school band. How'd it go for it? Today started out as the best day of my life.
Back here tonight, first show's at 7.
Yes! Woohoo! You know what that's gonna say? Joe Gardner. I did it. I got the gig.
Must have been sudden for you.
What? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Help! I'm not done! Oh my goodness! Huh? Is this heaven?
No, it's the great before. This is where new souls get their personalities, quirks, and interests before they go to Earth.
Meet 22.
I don't want to go to Earth.
Stop fighting this.
I don't want to.
Okay, look, I already know everything about Earth, and I don't want anything to do with it.
You're missing out on the joys of life, like pizza. I can't smell. We can't taste either?
All that stuff is in your body.
No smell, no taste.
Or touch. See?
Okay, I get it. Wow, it's my life.
Is all this living really worth dying for? You're still alive?
Can you help me get back?
No way!
There I am. What are we waiting for?
Wait, not me!
That's weird.
What is it?
151,000 souls go into the great beyond every day, and I count every single one of them. The count's off.
Huh.
Okay, you can see that clip was kind of funny. One soul did not want to go back to heaven, wanted to continue to live in the present. I'll say, Pastor Carol, what did you learn about the conversations you had about this whole notion of the soul?
Well, I think in our conversation here at Emmanuel, we really talked about recognizing, feeling the presence of our loved ones with us, and often many people talk to their loved ones and find places that of meaning to them that they can remember their loved ones and give thanks for their loved ones.
Yes, often we talk about a soulmate, and often the person who died, the loved one, the mother, the spouse, the best friend, there is that soulish connection that we feel, even maybe even more intensely when they die. I think I just have to raise up an insight that I had later after our conversation, which was about our practice of the Eucharist. Is that when we gather around the table, we say we're gathering with all the saints. We even name a few of them. We'll say, Mary Magdalene and the disciples, and we really could include on this day all of our loved ones who have died.
Yeah, here at Emmanuel in Southfield, during All Saints, we even, instead of gathering flowers, we put pictures of our loved ones who have passed up at the near the railing where we gather for communion, to really recognize the saints that gather with us around the Eucharist.
It's a great practice, and I think here often we go out to the columbarium, as you remember, and people will lay flowers right there because it's next to the church, and so it's very easy and it's accessible. But it really does tie in with that Eucharistic practice. We've often talked about the Swedes who had the semicircle as far as their communion rail. Half the circle, of course, was for those in the sanctuary, and half the circle extended out into the back into the cemetery. And it was a way of saying around the Eucharistic table, all souls, living and dead, are there. We don't need just to remember that at All Saints' Day. All right, second topic, talking versus praying. What did you learn, Pastor Carol?
Well, most of my congregation are Lutheran, so they're going to right away say that they know the right answer, that no, we don't pray to the saints. But it gets blurry. It really does get blurry when we're talking, because we are having conversation when we're thinking, well, what would my mother tell me what to do here, and ask for advice. It gets blurry when you really think about it in practice.
In Africa, when you went way out into the jungle, it was normal at a meal to pour out a little bit of your wine or your drink onto the ground as an oblation, basically as an offering to your ancestors, because you want mom and dad who have died to still like you, not to come and haunt you, basically, so you acknowledge them, which I do feel bleeds over into prayer, basically trying to have the dead influence. And in fact, the churches condemned that practice, although some of the good Christians there still did it. So there is that fine line. I know as Protestants, we always were critical of the Roman Catholics for praying to the saints. I'm not sure we always got that right, but the critique was correct. I'm just not sure if they were always praying. Were they just acknowledging the saints? It's always kind of a fuzzy area. But I think in general, the teaching is you can talk to your dead loved ones. You just don't request help from them. That should be directed toward God. Prayers to Jesus, not prayers to your dead loved ones.
I wonder if one area, sometimes the way I might say it though too, is we pray as a community of faith together. So is it, and I might ask someone to pray with and for me, but that isn't in the sense of they're still praying to Jesus, so they're still praying to God, but it's getting that support of the community. It's almost even in the sense of maybe even Matthew 18, right? Wherever we are gathered together, Christ is with us. And so I think that's a practice that would make sense to me too.
So you're asking your dead loved ones to join you in prayer to God?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I actually think that's what the original Roman Catholic practice was as well. That's why I say it's always a little murky.
Right.
One area that did not come up, this is issue 3, but I know was in the room, or I sensed it was in the room, was going to mediums, palm readers, whatnot, to speak and to hear back from loved ones. And I guess I mention that because we've got corporate culture now with psychics, like California psychics. They advertise all the time on the radio that you can spend just a few dollars and it will change your life, because they're going to tell you your future and sometimes even connect you to talking with loved ones. Again, it wasn't raised here, but I sensed it in the room. How about at Emmanuel in Michigan?
It wasn't brought up here really either. One person brought up the corporate, pay to talk to a medium and it'll change your life kind of thing, and kind of in the sense of what a con. But we didn't really go into it. But often, I know I have heard people talk about going to mediums, or even as a kid, who has a slumber party and you bring in a medium, or and both of us are also pastor kids, so we probably caused some trouble in that area as well. I won't say, maybe I did, but I think it's really we really want to think, even if we're doing it in that sense, in the sense of we're just having fun, to be careful about making sure we're not making someone else stumble in their faith, because someone who's really seeking, who's really grieving, might go there and be taken advantage, again, taken advantage in their grief. And you do, so we might be careful not to do that, in the sense of not wanting to make someone's faith stumble in a time they need their faith.
Sometimes we remember often girl slumber parties where things like that are done. Boys do other things, not that. However, it can be as innocent as fortune cookies. I've seen people get all messed up because they're vulnerable at a certain point in their life, and they open a fortune cookie, which you think is fun and meaningless, and yet all of a sudden they keep that slip of paper, and it becomes important, both positively or sometimes even negatively. And so here, I think the Bible is pretty clear. It's just a clear answer, no. Mm-hmm. You don't use mediums. You don't go to palm readers. You don't participate in any of the magical arts, either white or black, the dark arts, because one, it can mess you up. You allow forces to work, or you also are affecting other people around you. And I think that was your point, right? That you might say, "Oh, I'm just having fun. It's meaningless to me. Let's do this for a lark," and yet you're causing others to stumble. The Bible does not say this stuff doesn't work. It says you don't do it. This is pretty clear. The fourth issue, it's also hard to talk about at church because no one's going to say, "Well, I went to the palm reader on Saturday night," and Pastor, let's talk about that, right? That's so that. The last issue was a great comment that we heard, that one woman said, "I can actually hear my mother better today than when she was alive because, we were so close. I can hear her voice, and it's not muzzled or foggy because of life circumstances, but now it's almost pure. And I thought that's almost what Dorothy said in the interview that we had last time. What did you hear from your people?
It's very similar. Just to be able to, sometimes that voice just comes in the middle of the day when you're driving down the road or something. It becomes so clear. I think too, and I won't get too much in this because I know this is probably another topic, but people shared having conversations in dreams that felt like not a dream, but a spiritual experience that brought a peace that they just couldn't even explain. It was just a healing experience.
Yeah, one did mention the symbolism of a cardinal, that after the mother died, cardinals started showing up. And now anytime this person sees a cardinal, it brings comfort. And it just brings them closer to the mother. In a very symbolic way. Here, I think, is the bottom line. We want to encourage people to talk, especially on All Saints' Day, but not solely on All Saints' Day, to honor their loved ones, and often talking, which is healthy. It's a way of honoring and carrying out in a very intimate way our love together. So again, there'll be all sorts of practices surrounding All Saints' Day. I know here at Emmanuel, we're going to light candles. In the service, we read out the names of those who have died. We ring a bell. But it's a very emotional service because we're remembering. How about you? You've already mentioned one of your special rituals. What else will you be doing?
We'll be doing the same thing, lighting candles, as well as ringing the bell for those who've entered the Church Triumphant this year. And I just really want to encourage that it's, I know sometimes we listen to this and like, you're setting rules that I can't talk to my loved one. I want to say, no, it is very healthy to honor your loved ones, and and light a candle and maybe write a letter as well. I know some people have that practice as well. So we give thanks for the saints on All Saints and every day.
So we want to encourage not just our people at Emmanuel, but encourage those in your family to honor this day, to, I hope, go to church, but go to the cemeteries, light a candle, and not only honor, but talk to the dead loved ones, knowing other people from other cultures have other practices, as we saw in the opening video. This is an emotional day, but we hope one that God blesses, and one where God really comforts us with God's presence, that God has indeed offered salvation and eternal life to our loved ones as well. So, Pastor Karole, again, I want to thank you for joining me with this conversation. It was your idea, you initiated it, and I hope it won't be the last time we work together.
Thank you.
Joining us on this Sunday forum for All Saints Day, I want to say bye-bye now.